I just got done watching the Dahmer story on Netflix. Sometimes the system fails. A lot. He'd get a guy, one way or the other. He'd take him home. He'd drug him. Drill a hole in his head. Put acid in the hole. Turn him into a zombie. Give him a lobotomy. Turn him into a zombie. Watch him die. Have sex with him. Chop him up and eat him and scatter his bones. That didn't happen 5,000 years ago. That happened 30 years ago. People knew that he was up to no good. Clearly. Clearly. That's the most extreme example of the system failing for an individual I've ever heard of in my life. The system fails on broader terms like war, famine, genocide, that kind of thing. But if you're talking about an everyday average asshole, that's a pretty big fucking failure. His neighbors knew something was up. Obviously, his dad knew something was up. His family knew something was up. People in the gay community knew something was up of Milwaukee in the late 80s, early 90s. Ugh. But I know people who the system has failed for many years. They are severely mentally ill, and they walk amongst. And they're not necessarily a danger to society, necessarily. They're a danger to themselves because they're reckless, because they're not properly medicated, and they're on drugs, and they drink alcohol, and they have bad diets. And nobody intervened on their behalf, either when they were 20 or now when they're in their 50s or beyond. And now the horse has left the barn, and it's almost too late, and society's got to deal with them. What do you think's going on in Philadelphia? What do you think's going on in Southern California and San Francisco? Those parts of town where it's just mobs of zombies on fentanyl, on methamphetamines, on crystal meth, on crack. When you see somebody like that walking around your town or your city or your block, what do you think's going on there? It's a failure of the system. They need to be put in homes. They need to be put in mental hospitals until they can be rehabilitated or indefinitely. They need to be taken off the street and determined what the best plan is. But they closed down all the mental hospitals. The psychiatric community in this country is a joke. MSWs are not social workers, are not therapists, they're social workers. And that's who you have running the psychiatric community in this country, is MSWs. And they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And that's half the reason why half those people are walking around like zombies in our major cities. Is because of MSWs. They have no idea what they're doing. They're not psychiatric professionals. And there's not enough psychiatric professionals to clean this up. And there's not enough resources or institutions for these people to go to. So they go to jails and they're bouncing off the walls, which is inhumane. The system's failing everybody. Not just the mentally ill, not just the drug addict, not just the alcoholic, not just the nut job. But it's failing everybody. Except the super rich who have fuck you, screw you, generational wealth. And even some of their families are feeling the pinch right now too with that stuff. So I think it's time we revamp our psychiatric system before it's too late.